Laura Collett, thank you so much. This morning was an absolute masterclass in you at work with your racehorses. How does somebody who is 3 times 5-star winner and now 3 times Olympic medalist, actually gives me goosebumps even saying that out loud, end up working with racehorses as a part-time job, as part of your work?
Got to earn money somehow. No, I've always really enjoyed working with the Thoroughbreds. Always been sort of involved in racing, riding out, and then started through Yogi Breisner, teaching them to jump. It started very much back in the day, sort of when I was 16, 17, with just problem horses that would keep falling or making big mistakes. Now trainers have sort of come full circle in realising that maybe if they teach them to jump from the beginning, you don't get to that stage of them just falling and then needing help when it gets to a no hope stage. So I now go to several yards and have horses come in that either come off the flat and want to teach them to jump before they go hurdling, or just youngsters, giving them that first bit of education so that they have the basics of learning how to get their feet out of the way and fundamentally learn how to jump.
Which is handy when you're going to be a jump racehorse.
Yes.
That's incredible to see. You know, this morning alone we've had 3 of the top trainers in the Cotswolds, you know, come and you've got a great working relationship with them. What do you think are some of the common challenges you face when working with those horses, not only with a view to their successful racing career, but further on ahead when they might have another job in mind?
So there's many challenges. Probably I would say the biggest thing is that they are not used to being on their own. They're very much used to just following a horse in front of them and probably not really actually knowing any of the aids, very basic aids like start, stop, steer left and right. So that's kind of the first thing to bear in mind, is that they're out of their comfort zone when they come to this environment, if they've not done it before. Seeing mirrors in school, things like that, you know, you've got to see it from their point of view. Is the biggest key really, is to give them the chance to understand that there's a different way of life and there are different ways of doing things and learning and trying to get their head in the right space to learn. So giving them that bit of time and really rewarding them and keeping it very step by step, so that it's a progressive learning. You can't just expect them to know how to go down a grid straight away, and it's adapting to the horse that comes to the yard. They're all very different. We sort of start exactly in the same way, but very quickly we'll adapt to what the horse needs. If it's rushing, we'll do something different. If it needs to learn to shorten, we'll do a different type of grid. So it's adapting to the horse and the situation and what it needs to learn.
So that's working with the challenges, and you did such a beautiful job this morning. You know, they threw everything at you in one way, shape or form through the 6 horses, and you had to think on your feet very quickly. Talk to me about some of the positives. What do you like about Thoroughbreds? What inspires you about them in particular as compared to sport horses in general?
And it's how intelligent they are and how quick they can pick things up. They love working, they love a challenge. Every horse that came into the arena this morning had its ears pricked and had that real go-getter attitude. So that's, you don't want to squash that. You've got to work with that in a good way. Yes, some might be slightly over enthusiastic and you have to tone it down a little bit, but you never want to squash that. You don't want to punish them for being enthusiastic. It's about finding a way of getting them to maybe slow down and chill out, rather than just telling them they've got to do it, be slower. You know, they don't know that. So that's my job to teach them that there is a different way of doing things, and really reward them from something that might not seem like a big deal, like the young horse this morning that had never jumped before. Even just walking, trotting over a pole, you know, make a big fuss of them. They need to enjoy it. They need to think they're amazing. And you know, he was a classic horse that he found it. He sort of did it so well, he actually didn't realise what he was doing, and then he panicked a bit and he started to crash through it and run out and had a wobble, but not telling him off, because actually realising he genuinely just doesn't understand. And so stripping it back, taking it back down, just trotting into it so that it's just one jump, so he can process and say, okay, I remember that I can jump that jump. And then he came round and pricked his ears and absolutely took down to it exactly how you'd want. So that could have gone one of two ways. If I'd sort of got after him and told him to not run out and, you know, slapped him down the shoulder and said, no, you've got to go and do that. You know, you've done it. You know, you could easily think, but you've jumped it 5 times. Why are you running out now? But it's because it's almost like his brain hadn't caught up with what he was actually doing. It was sort of, he was so naive and cute, and then suddenly had a wobble and a panic, but staying calm and not losing my temper and not stressing him out, just letting his brain catch up with what his body had already done, meant that horse finished that session super confident and will come out next time and go straight down there happy as Larry.
So staying diplomatic, because what they're trying to do is the right thing in general.
Yeah, they're not always just going to pick it up and get it straight away, sadly.
Although they do so much quicker than, a lot of the younger horses you see might have made those mistakes many more times perhaps than a thoroughbred.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely pick things up, and once they understand, they're away, rather than maybe needing 5 or 6 repetitive sessions like sometimes.
And in sort of conclusion, in summary, what would you say, like one sort of top tip, maybe you've covered it already, but one top tip for anyone thinking of taking on an ex-racehorse, after they finish their career? Be
patient, and also be aware that it sometimes will be a step forward, 10 steps back, step forward before you can go forwards again. Like, it's not always just a nice, easy progression. There will be times where they have a panic and you feel like in one session you feel like you've gone back 10 steps, but if you finish the session well, the next session you'll feel like you've jumped forward 10 steps again.
And lastly, do you bring that into your coaching? Do you coach riders on thoroughbreds? Do you compete any thoroughbreds yourself? How does that?
I have done in the past. At the moment I haven't got any, but yes, it's exactly the same process, whether you're teaching a rider on a horse or riding the horse yourself. It's the same idea.